So we're going to start things off with eBay, who recently expressed an interest in rewriting your listing titles in search results. No, this isn't just some unfounded rumor. It's actually based on a patent filing that eBay made with the US Patent and Trademark Office. You can see it right here. They call it, wait for it, the Smart Item Title Rewriter. Now, how smart it actually is, I have my doubts, and it remains to be seen. But the reasons why they want to do this are that there are just a lot of sellers who just don't put titles together well, period. They either put redundancies in there, they don't put enough words in there, they put the wrong keywords in there, they don't put the right keywords in there. And so as a result, buyers can't find what they want and sellers aren't getting top price for their items. And a lot of things are getting unsold. And ultimately, that hurts eBay. So they want to fix it. So while I do think that they have a point in terms of some of the problems that are there, in fact, we talk about that all the time in the reselling community, that a way to improve your sales is to improve your keywording in your titles. But that's a far cry from saying that it's okay for eBay to just take our listing titles that we put together and change them without our knowledge. Could you imagine some of the complications that could come from that, especially item not as described because the person is now not getting something that they thought they were ordering because eBay changed something in the title. Now, some people might sit back and say, well, Dom, maybe you're being a little too harsh on them. Maybe they would do a good job with this if they tried it out. But, when I consider that, you've got to look back at history and how things currently are when eBay has tried to do anything like this. So, how many times has eBay made suggestions for what you should price your item at? How often is that correct? Most of the time, I just ignore it because it's completely off. Yes, once in a while they could be correct, but often it's totally off. Same thing with category selections. How many times is eBay selecting the category for what you put in your title and it's just way off? Yes, sometimes they're right, but a lot of times they're off, and we cannot take a chance that they're going to be off with our listing titles. So, at most, my view on this is that if they're going to try something like this, it should be an option. It should be a suggestion. Someone should have to want to opt into it. It shouldn't be anything on any way that someone is forced into, because eBay just hasn't demonstrated that this is something that they're good at. Now, I have one person in my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, who thinks that this is going on some level, because she says with her clothing listings, she does them the same way all the time. And recently they were rewritten. So is eBay kind of experimenting on this with some people without our knowledge? If so, if you think this is happening to you, let me know that in the comment section, and just let me know in general what you think of this whole issue of eBay wanting to rewrite your listing titles in search. As a follow-up to a prior news story I did, eBay is now officially saying that they did not request the Facebook group takedowns that occurred over Christmas break. As you might remember, there were also some posts that were removed from these groups. And because Facebook sent a message to people within the group mentioning trademark infringement about eBay and to contact eBay to resolve these issues, a lot of group owners got very concerned if they had eBay in the title and just took eBay out of the title. So if eBay didn't have anything to do with it, then it had to be Facebook. And we haven't heard anything from Facebook on this. So Facebook needs to let us know what the heck happened, because we can't just have groups being taken down and posts being taken down with reference to trademark infringements against eBay when eBay's not filing the trademark infringement, which is really weird, because usually if someone's concerned about a trademark infringement, it's the group that feels they're being infringed upon, not a third party like Facebook. So Facebook, could you please let us know what's going on here? All right, now this is a great inside ninja tip here. Etsy has done some research and they have come to the conclusion that emerald green is the color of 2022. So you want to really be aware of that color, use that term, and put that in your listings. If you're wondering what the heck emerald green looks like, just think of the Wizard of Oz. I'll show you some examples right here. I did some research myself and found that the term emerald green right now has about a 61% sell-through rate. And here you can see that color right there. A lot of people using it, mostly in terms of fashion, but it is also having some use in home decor. Obviously, value is partly going to depend on brand and obviously what the item is, but you don't want to leave that term emerald green out if you were not aware of it. It is a color that is associated with harmony and growth and royalty and refinement. And it complements a lot of other colors too. It complements earthy colors, complements neutral colors, silvers. So a lot of people use it in decor as well. So keep in mind the searches for emerald green have gone up about 64%. So it's definitely something people are looking for. Now, in this next story, a 25-year-old postal worker from Florida admitted to opening and stealing 4,000 pieces of mail. Ironically, she was caught by her parents, who are also postal workers. They saw her going through all this stuff. They turned her in. She was specifically targeting holiday and or gift cards. And the reason she was doing this was to support a heroin addiction, which to me raises a really important question, which is why are postal workers not receiving random drug tests? I bring this up because this is not the only time I have seen this story. I see this happen numerous times throughout the year of postal workers getting in trouble for this sort of stuff. So, what do you think? Do you think that these sorts of drug screens should take place? Is it maybe not worth it, given that although it does happen, it's maybe a small number of people, maybe it's too expensive, but still, I think just having it out there that it could possibly be done would be a good idea, in my opinion. Now, in this next story, there were several people who received hefty federal prison sentences for stealing over $1 million worth of iPods that were meant for Native American children in a school system. Now, one of the people who was involved in this oversaw this program, and the money was coming in through federal grants. So this person was taking the iPods and then giving them to somebody else who was then selling them on eBay at a significant markup price. The person who supplied the iPods to the person who sold them got an 18-month federal prison sentence. But the person who actually sold them got a 66-month federal prison sentence. Ironically, the person who sold them wasn't able to sell them on their own eBay account because that account was restricted by eBay due to security concerns. So what did the person do? Found somebody else to let them use their account to sell it on there. That person received a 1-year prison sentence. We're going to have to come up with a name for this segment of the news where we go over people who did bad things related to reselling or related to the post office. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and I'll see if I could use one of them in a future broadcast. All right, now I've heard of people reselling all sorts of stuff, but I have never heard of people reselling prepaid dinner reservations. So some people are getting the reservation for $400 and then they're reselling it for up to $1,500. So obviously it could be something that could be pretty profitable. If you're wondering where people are reselling dinner reservations, it's not on eBay. They're doing it in like Reddit groups, Facebook groups, Craigslist, that sort of thing. Now, there are some groups that are, dedicated to dinner reservations and New York dining that are saying that they're not allowing this. Like there's a group called Food NYC that said you have to clearly state what the price is, and we're not going to allow for any type of what they call gouging. Now, technically, it's not gouging because it's not a necessity for anyone to eat at a restaurant that's going to normally charge $400 for a prepaid dinner reservation. This doesn't make any sense. There's an app called Talk that manages dinner reservations, and they're saying as well they're not allowing for any of these markups to occur on there that are unfair. So I just thought it was interesting. Never heard of this before, but apparently, there are people out there who are doing this. All right, now out of all the stories this week, this is the one that fires me up the most. Maybe I should do that each week. What's the one that gets me the most fired up? And it's this one because I don't like when companies try to impede on people's freedoms. And that's what I feel is going on when you buy something from a company like, in this instance, Ford, and you buy one of their F-150 electric lightning trucks, and then they tell you that you can't resell the truck for up to a year, or if you try to do that, they could come after you legally. Now, this is something that is optional for the dealers to get into this type of arrangement with the person who purchases from them, but I would suspect that there's some kind of incentive or some kind of pressure from Ford to the dealerships to make these kind of deals with customers. I don't like this because, number one, you see me in many of my videos. I wear Ford shirts, and I wear it because the brand Ford to me symbolizes strength and it symbolizes freedom. And you are not free if you think you own a car and then you're prohibited from selling it. You don't really own it in that instance. Even if you put all the cash down on it, paid it completely off, they're saying you can't resell it for a year if you sign into this agreement. So I think that's going to push a lot of people away from this vehicle. People should have the freedom to resell things that they purchase and that they own. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. Now, if you think that this is just, fluff and that Ford would never come after anyone for this, guess what? They already have. They've done this kind of thing before. They did this when John Cena, of all people, they actually sued John Cena for $450,000 after he bought the Ford GT supercar, and then he resold it within about a month. Now, eventually, they settled with him, but John Cena really, he still lost out on the case. He still had to pay an unspecified amount of money. Money went to charity, which of course it's good that money goes to charity, but John Cena, really lost out in that situation. And, just goes to show Ford will come after you. And if you wind up signing a contract, then you're bound by what you signed into that contract. So be careful out there, folks. Now, here's a crazy comic reselling story. We've got a single page from a 1984 comic book that just sold for a record $3.36 million at Heritage Auctions. This is the comic page right here. It's from Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 8. Sound familiar? Because I've talked about that title a lot on this channel. And if the number 8 sounds familiar, I've often said that that's the most important one that you should look for if you ever find that series. Now, if you think that you could just grab that comic book, I have it right here, and just flip to that page, which happens to be the last page in the book, and just pull it out and sell it for $3 million, that's not going to happen. And the reason for that is because what you're looking at here is original comic art. So it's very different. This is 10 by 15 sheet. It's ink on graphite. There's a big difference between original art and mass pre-printed material. But look for that issue. Look for that series. Sells great and complete sets. I've sold it in many instances in the past and showed it in what sold videos. But just goes to show when you could sell a single page of art, what is going on with the comic industry and why I am just so into it and so excited. And so if you want to learn more about it, go to my comics playlist tab and explore all around. Look at my prior what sold videos as well, because I talk about comic books there almost every single time. All right, so this is a really cool, heartwarming story related to this guy named Ross, who had purchased some items on eBay in an attempt to connect with his heritage. He specifically bought these paper items from Liverpool, England, because he heard that he had some grandparents who he never met that lived in that area. So it gives some good insights, right, as to why people purchase certain things that, you might otherwise overlook when you're outsourcing. But if you see paper items related to a certain city, pick them up, cluster them together, lot them, and put them online, and someone else might purchase them for exactly the same reason that Ross did. Now, interestingly, when Ross made the purchase, what happened is that the purchase was refunded. The reason why it was refunded is that the seller turned out, total coincidence, to be his dad, who he never met. Now that's his sister who you see right there, and they had never met before either. So they were reunited for the first time through this connection. His dad let him know who he was. He recognized the name, and what do you know? Brought together by a chance eBay purchase. That is just crazy, unbelievable, amazing story. Now, in another cool, heartwarming story, a World War II soldier's letter to his mother was finally delivered. It just took 76 years to get there, and his mom wasn't alive at that point. So at least USPS did a good job in tracking down his next of kin, who was his surviving widow, and giving it to her, who described the experience of getting the letter as amazing and feeling like he came back to her. So that's really cool and awesome to see. They also did a good job, USPS, in expressing their condolences to a note that they handed off as well. So bad job on the 76 years, USPS, but I give you credit for the track down and the note. So that's good. As to why the letter got lost, USPS says they don't know, but I've seen stories like this in the past. And what typically happens is that the letter gets buried in the bottom of a bin somewhere, or it gets stuck, or it gets wedged somewhere. And it's not until many, many years later, when either it gets freed or someone disassembles it or discovers it or finds it, that they then do what they can to try to track down whoever that letter should go to. All right, well, that's another weekly news recap. I hope that you enjoyed it. If so, consider supporting the channel through membership. The link is right up top. Explore all of those primetime perks, and I will see you at the next video, everyone. Take care.